Hi, this is Andy from McGyver's Garden, and today we're going to talk about an easy way for watering your plants. Easy and very inexpensive. Now, when I first set up my seed starters, I tested just about everything you can think of. Top watering, bottom watering, sprayers, timers, all of that. And all of it had problems. I either was getting stuff too wet, or some areas were getting too dry, some were being too wet and too dry, depending on which part of the seed starter. And I was constantly having to monitor it until I found capillary matting. Now, capillary matting is kind of cool stuff in that it soaks up water so well, it will even pull it uphill, okay? And the way to use capillary matting is really quite simple. You take the tray that you're going to put your plants on, you cut a piece of matting the size of the tray, and then you cut a piece wide enough to go across the tray and down into whatever you're going to use as a water trough. Now, personally at home in my seed starter, I use rain gutter. So it's a long stretch of rain gutter with caps on it, and all I have to do is keep that full. And with these tails in, it works great. But for what we're going to do today, we're going to use just a cheap dish tub bought at the neighborhood dollar store. And we're going to show you with that, because for testing out to see if you like it, this is all you really need to spend. You don't need to spend more than $1 or $2. Okay, so with the capillary matting, we just soak it. You notice how fast that just soaked up the water. So wring it out. You don't need to wring it out dry, but you need to wring it out. You can wring it out enough to where it's not slopping all over the place. You're also going to do the same thing with the wick. You're going to dry it, wring it out just a little bit, and then you're going to set your pad on top of that, and we can set that just like that on the trough, and set the trough under the lights. Now, the only disadvantage, well, let me tell you first, what I use to water your plants. You can set your peat pellets on top of that. You can set your soil blocks on it. And these will never go dry as long as there's water in this trough. And how long do you think that's going to be? Even with the shallow rain gutter I've got, I only have to fill it once every 3 days. This way it works great. You say, but what do I do if I've got my soil in cups or my planters in packets like this? With the cups, there's an easy way to do that. Remember, I had you cut an X in the bottom? Well, before you fill it, just tear out one of those corners of the X. Then you can pack the soil, the bottom ½ inch of soil in there, and then pour the rest of the soil in lightly. And what that will do is give you a plug here that's long enough that it will reach down and touch the capillary matting, and that's all that's required. And as the plant needs water, this will try to dry out, and as this tries to dry out, it'll wick up water from the capillary matting. And as the capillary matting tries to get dry, it'll wick up water from the trough. That's all there is to it. And you don't have to worry about overwatering or underwatering. It brings up the water as the plant needs it. You say, okay, yeah, but what if I've already got my seeds planted in either the cell pack or the cup? Check this out. I bought a pack of upholstery needles from Walmart. It cost me about $3 and something. But if you attach just a regular piece of yarn to it and run it up through, leave enough of a tail so that it can sit on the capillary matting, and when you pull it through the top, cut it off at ground level. And the same is true with the soil packs. All you got to do is run it up through, leave enough of a tail that it can touch the capillary matting, and I need to grab my scissors. Cut it off. And to get the capillary action started, what you do is you need to wet the yarn and the bottom of your tray. Just get it wet wet enough, and then just set it there on your capillary matting. Now this soil, because it's wet at the bottom and dry at the top, it'll start wicking up the water up to the top portion. It will never go dry as long as you've got water in this trough, okay? Now, what's the downside of capillary matting? Downside is, number one, it's rather expensive, okay? It costs about, let's see, what did we figure out here? It costs about $5 a square foot, if I remember right. Also, it's getting very hard to get hold of. You can only get it at a couple of different places online. That's why I haven't used it in the last 5 years. And you're saying, what? Well, what's that stuff you're using right there? Guess what? I've done some experimenting, and cheap, ordinary felt works every bit as good for our purposes as capillary matting, and it comes out to only a few cents a square foot. You can go to the box stores or your neighborhood sewing center, buy a yard of it, which is actually 36 inches by about 72 inches. The trick with using felt is that you need to put it through a wash cycle, just a regular wash cycle in your washer and a dry cycle. That'll take away any of the chemicals that have a tendency to repel water. And once you do that, this stuff just wicks up water wonderfully. If you'd like to see how well this works in my seed starter, go to my website at McGyversgarden.com. I show a couple of pictures of one level of my seed starter, and you can see that those plants are doing wonderfully. And I've never watered this part of it. I only water through to the rain gutter that I'm using. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. For more information, please go to my website at McGyversgarden.com. I do want to give you 2 homework assignments this week, though. First, you need to decide by the next week what you're going to plant. And by that I mean, what will your family eat? Okay? Don't plant a lot of 10 eggplants if your kids won't eat eggplant. Plant just one of them and give them a try. But if it's stuff that you know your family likes, that's what you're going to want to plant more of. So make a list of what you want to plant. The second thing I need you to do is to find out what your average last spring frost day is for your area. Now you can go online and find that out. We have a website that my daughter's going to take a picture of right here. This will give you, you can look it up by your state, and you just substitute in your state for Utah, and then scroll down to the bottom of the page and it'll have a list of all the cities in your state and what their average last spring frost date is. Now don't make the mistake of using the Farmer's Almanac site. The Farmer's Almanac website is only accurate to 30%. To me, that's not an average frost date. It has to be at least 50% accurate to be an average last frost date. Secondly, as far as the water you use, you want to make sure that you don't use softened water if you've got a salt-based water softener, because that's going to have too much salt in it. What you may have to do is go to your outside water faucet, because any of the soft water installers, if they're worth their weight in salt, pun intended, they will have plumbed after your outdoor spigot, because they know that soft water isn't good for your outdoor plants. So you may have to bring it in from your outdoor faucet, or if you really get serious into it, you may want to just run a line from the line going to your outdoor faucet to wherever you've got seed starter at. I've done that with both a garage I had in West Jordan, and I've also done that with my basement seed starter right now. I've got a line running back right into that area so that I can actually fill up at the seed starter. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line at McGyversgarden@gmail.com, or take a look at the website for more information. Thank you very much. And as always, may all your weeds be wildflowers.